If you're sensing something is off in a sales call and you do nothing about it, then you are killing the deal before it ever got started. One of the reasons that you may be struggling in sales may have nothing to do with your process, may have nothing to do with your product, may have nothing to do with the actual pitch. It may very well have to do with what's coming out of your mouth and what you're saying and how you're engaging with your prospects doesn't actually align with what's going on in your gut. Say you're 15 minutes into a discovery call with someone and everything about this prospect in this meeting is basically telling you there's no need here. There's no urgency. The problem doesn't seem big enough. They don't seem very interested in this thing. They don't seem to be in much pain. And you say nothing. You know what's going on with your gut? Like your intuition's telling you something and it doesn't align with what your actions and what your words say. That creates a misalignment that has two really significant impacts on you. And the first is super practical. It's on your sales, right? So if you are seeing these things early in the process and you choose to do nothing, you choose to say nothing, you choose just go with the flow, then the likelihood of those deals is low, right? Like the probability of actually closing those is very low. You end up wasting a bunch of time. You end up wasting a bunch of resources, a bunch of energy. Like even as you're creating the proposal, you're like, I don't think this is going to work. Right. But you do it anyway. Like you're investing the time. Sure as shit, you get to the end and you get ghosted. You get told like fly a kite or your prices are way too expensive and they don't even have the ability to kind of overcome that. And the worst part about this whole thing is you get to the end, you're like, I kind of knew it. Right. Like I kind of knew it was going to be too expensive. I mean, in fact, when I mentioned price like 2 weeks ago, like they basically, got up out of their chair, but I didn't do anything, right? And that's the frustrating part. You haven't gotten the deal and you've wasted a lot of time, and time is your most precious asset. It is your most valuable asset, and how you allocate it is going to determine how successful you are as a salesperson or not. So when you're spending it or investing it into these deals that have obstacles, that have objections, and you spotted those things days, weeks in advance and never addressed them at that time, all of that time is just basically lost. And that's, again, not good on sales and not good from a time allocation standpoint. Now, the second issue is actually internal, right? Like what it does to you as a person when you're going through the motions and you're doing this. And I think this is the bigger issue actually, because when you as a salesperson just play the nice guy, right? When you avoid candid conversations, when you don't address things that your intuition and your gut says need to be addressed, when you spot an obstacle or an objection and you're afraid to talk about it because you don't want to create tension in the room, or you don't want to, upset the apple cart. Like you wanted to keep this, nice and steady. And if I address that thing, it might get a little uncomfortable. So those candid conversations about price, you avoid them. Those times that you sit and let somebody just waste your time, right? Like completely disengaged, curt, rude answers, sitting on their phone, like I said, and you don't do anything. When you do that consistently, when you quiet yourself, when you make yourself smaller in order to protect the feelings of the other person across the room, it creates this internal conflict because you are suppressing what you think, you're suppressing what you want to say, you're avoiding saying what you really need to say and what you want to say. And what that does is it just erodes your confidence over time. It chips away at how you feel, and it changes the energy that you bring to meetings over time. It changes the way that you project yourself. And it changes, obviously, like I was saying before, it changes the results that you're getting, which also adds to this. So if you're not getting results on top of going into meetings and feeling like, gosh, I let that person run all over me, or I was afraid to say this thing, or, I didn't address like something that was clearly obvious and it bit me in the ass later. Doing that over time isn't a good way to make a living. That is not how you as a person build yourself up over time. And you spend a lot of time working. So that is, at least for me, how I want to spend the better part of my day. Okay. Like I want to be real. I want to be honest. I want to be like aware of what my My intuition's telling me I want to be able to trust it. I want to have human conversations, authentic conversations, even if those are candid conversations, even if it creates a little bit of tension, even if it requires challenging a prospect. Those are the things that when you do that consistently over time, you will build your confidence as a person outside of sales. But you will build your confidence as a person, and you will end up getting more deals and feel better about it in the process. Okay. Now, let me tell you about a call that I had recently where this played out. And it was a virtual sales call, and he was talking about our fractional sales management program. He'd booked in a call. And so we get into this in, it was like maybe 10 minutes or so. And his body language is like, most of the time his head was down. His answers were a few sentences here and there. Just the tone of the call and the energy, and like it just screamed, dude, you don't want to be here, or you're angry, or you're distracted, or I said something, like I don't know what that is. So I stopped and I said, hey Gary, can I ask you a candid question? He's like, yeah, sure. Why are we here today? You booked the call. I'm sure that you don't have time to waste. As we're going through this, I just kind of sense maybe you're distracted or disengaged or maybe somewhere else. And is it something that I asked or something that I said, or is this not a good time? Do you want to reschedule this? And he paused and he chuckled a little bit and he says, I don't have any of the answers that you're asking questions to. And I know that you're just trying to get a lay of the land of like what you'd be working with and everything. He said, but I feel like an idiot. Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you for being candid. Second of all, completely understood. That's not how I intended it. So sorry if it made you feel that way. I said, tell you what, why don't we just scrap all that? Let's just pretend that we're building on an empty lot, and you tell me what you want this to look like when, 18 months from now, right? Like we've gotten this process going and it's rolling, and you've got a rep hired, and they've got pipeline go. Just walk me through that. Let's start there and work backwards. And he said, okay. And he starts mapping that out, right? And he starts, and he sits up, his body language changes, his energy changes, my energy changes. 50 minutes later, he is signed up. We are going to help him build the sales process. We're going to help him with the playbooks. We're going to help him recruit a rep, and then we're going to help him manage them. 50 minutes later, that's what happened. And it was because stopped and said, I sense something is off here. Let's address that. Instead of me continuing to go through my process, which, by the way, would have been a complete waste of time and maybe made him feel more like shit. I had more questions to understand. Now, hopefully I would have picked up on it, but you know what I mean? I would have wasted my time in that call on something that was already making him uncomfortable. And, if the purpose of, discovery is identifying pain and problem, cool, done, got it. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the prescription of what this is, right? So that's what I mean by calling it out, by trusting your intuition and your gut. So this happens a lot, actually. When this pricing is a really common one, when we mention pricing, or when you mention pricing, you may see somebody shift. You may see a body language change, a facial expression, something. And a lot of people just let that go. Well, if it's me, I'm going to say, hey, I noticed, if it was Gary, hey, I noticed, Gary, when I mentioned the price there, you kind of made a shift a little bit. If I may ask, is that because it's way more than you were expecting, or is that because it's way less than you're expecting? And they'll tell you, right? But instead of ignoring it and never addressing it, or trying to address it way later in the process, just hit on it, right? Just actually stop, pause, human to human, have the conversation. I'm not saying you don't have to be a douche about it. You don't have to be, disrespectful. You don't want to be an asshole. Tonality is everything. Delivery is everything. Also, don't make assumptions about what you think it is. Like with Gary, I could have thought, wow, maybe he's just an asshole, right? That's not it, right? So don't make assumptions. Don't deliver it the wrong way. But when you do this the right way, you will earn credibility from your prospects, because they will respect you more for being willing to deal with a little bit of tension and a little bit of discomfort in order to have some boundaries, right? And have some self-respect and demonstrate, project some confidence. So you earn credibility. You will close more deals, which, by the way, also feels a lot better. Sales is a lot more fun when you're closing deals. And you, as a human, will feel better about yourself in this process. And you won't let sales be something that chips away and makes you feel smaller, and instead allows it to be a platform for you to get stronger, for you to get more confident, for you to step into those conversations, and they get easier over time, way easier. So you'll be shocked at how many times a prospect will actually appreciate the candor, because it's a show of respect in my view. And I have yet to actually have it backfire on me when it's delivered the right way. So I hope that's helpful. If it has been, subscribe to the channel. We've got more sales tips every single week. We also have a weekly email that you can get access to, as well as our entire sales toolbox, the MSP sales toolbox. If you're selling MSP services, it's got playbooks, scripts, frameworks. We're adding new stuff in every week, like stuff that we use with clients. That's at mspsalestoolbox.com. So just drop your email in there and you can get more sales tips. Hope to see you in the next video or the next email. Adios.